So I'm
Mm.
going to go, cut right to the chase and ask you if somehow life had been different and Martin Luther King had not been assassinated, but had been elected president. What one thing would you like to talk about a little bit or identify that you think would be different if Martin Luther King had been president?
The first thing that comes to my mind from this question is that there would not be the Ku Klux Klan.
Mm,
And and that's probably because um, in my mind, learning about Martin Luther King was also at the time of my life when I learned of the Ku Klux Klan.
mm,
And so that exists, and that Martin Luther King existed. He was assassinated, I just recently learned, like a month before I was born.
mm,
So there was never really his aliveness in my life, but there was his history in my life. And my aunt is a history teacher, and she has always lived in Atlanta and worked in inner city schools. And so I've always imagined her teaching a lot of lessons about Martin Luther King. And I imagine that she had a real connection, more so than I do, because that's not part of my life's work or what I tend to focus on. History is not what I tend to focus on. But in terms of my family's history, I knew that my mother's family were Jews in Biloxi, Mississippi,
mm.
and my mom did live during the time of there was still segregation when she was a young child. And I know that my the temple that my grandfather helped to create in the community was vandalized by what are neo-Nazis. And in my mind, that's the same thing as the Ku Klux Klan. It's just, hate moving forward with a new name or a new branding. Um, so I imagine that would have not had Martin Luther King been president, that would not have been such a big aspect of my family's history as it came to me. Like, I imagine that temple would not have been ruined in such a way that those types of things would have been addressed sooner or prior to. Maybe they would have blown up, um, and things may have been a lot crazier or something. But I think that that would have ended. That would have been a change. And I think then if I follow that line, if there's no KKK anymore, then there's no, neo Nazis anymore. Then there's no Proud Boys. Then there's no, all of these kind of hate groups that are so scary and terrifying. And I think in its place, there would be something that is a more friendly feeling
Mm,
just between strangers, you
mm,
know, like walking down the street or walking through the supermarket. It would feel like everybody I see, that initial feeling would be that's a friendly person,
yeah.
as opposed to, oh my God, what are they thinking? What are they about? Do I
Mm,
talk to that person or do I not talk to that person? Or, you know, looking around, who would I choose to run to help? I think the thought would just be I could run to anybody for help. Anybody could be a friend. Um,
mm.
like that. And it's a fuzzy picture in my mind because I don't, you know, things that aren't real have a kind of fuzziness to them. There's something lacking in the dimensionality of it where it's not like a fully formed thing in reality.
Mm,
So like that kind, it is a fuzzy picture, but I can feel that God, that's so supportive and reassuring. It almost makes me want to cry right now.
yeah.
Like, what would that would be? Oh my God, to be a little kid and feel that? Because I didn't feel that walking around
Mm,
as a kid, So yeah, I think it would be very different in a
mm.
very positive way.
Well, it feels to me like you're talking about the beloved community.
Mm, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Something, something that would be defined that way.
mhm, mhm, mm,
So
mm. Very powerful, Ree.
it
Yeah.
it it is, and it's just crazy powerful.
Mhm,
I mean, it's crazy in a way these days to think of that kind of a thing is so powerful.
mhm,
But it really it's so powerful. Just a shift in perspective
right.
is humongous.